If you want to see real change in your life, it all starts with one thing: your attitude. How you think about yourself, others, and the challenges you face shapes everything around you. When you shift your attitude, you open the door to new possibilities and create a world that supports your growth and happiness. This isn't about quick fixes or empty promises. It's about learning how to take control of your thoughts, feelings, and actions every single day. Imagine waking up with confidence, moving through your day with purpose, and handling setbacks without losing your balance. Imagine the difference it would make if you chose courage over fear, kindness over bitterness, and action over excuses. This is not just a dream, it's something you can build step by step, starting now. In this guide, you'll discover practical tools and clear steps to change your mindset, build strong habits, and live with resilience. You'll learn how to stop blaming others, how to focus on progress, and how to surround yourself with people who support your growth. The journey isn't always easy, but every choice you make can bring you closer to the life you want. If you're ready to take control of your attitude and change your world, keep reading. This is your moment to begin. Chapter 1. Change how you think to change your results. If there's one truth that shapes every outcome in life, it's this: how you think determines what you do, and what you do determines what you get. Your thoughts are the starting point of every decision, every behavior, and every result you experience. If you want your life to change, if you want better relationships, stronger health, deeper peace, more clarity, and lasting success, then you must start by changing the way you think. Nothing on the outside can shift until something on the inside does first. And that shift doesn't require talent or luck. It requires awareness, discipline, and responsibility for your own mind. Most people spend their days reacting. They respond to their circumstances, their past, and their emotions without ever pausing to ask, what am I allowing my mind to believe? Thoughts come and go, and without control they begin to define how life feels: heavy, rushed, chaotic, frustrating. But this is where the opportunity lies. You are not powerless. You are not trapped by your thoughts. You can take hold of them. You can question them. You can decide which thoughts deserve your attention and which ones must be discarded. This is how all transformation begins. Think about it like this. If someone walks through life thinking they are always behind, not good enough, or too late, how will they behave? They will hesitate. They will shrink. They will compare themselves to others. They will avoid opportunity and settle for comfort. Not because it's true that they are behind, but because they believed it. That belief then shaped their emotions, which shaped their behavior, which shaped their life. So many people are not held back by what's real. They are held back by what they keep repeating in their minds. But once you realize that a thought is not a command, not a sentence, not even a truth, everything changes. You can step back and look at your own mind as if you were observing it from the outside. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me or hurting me? Is it building me or breaking me? Is it true, or is it just something I picked up from fear, from someone else's opinion, or from a bad day that turned into a habit? The thoughts you entertain either open your world or close it, and the difference is massive. A person who wakes up thinking, this is a waste of time, nothing I do matters, will move through the day in a fog. They'll be distracted, passive, and uninspired. But someone who wakes up thinking, this is my chance to grow, and I'm responsible for what I create, will show up differently. They will approach problems with clarity. They will move with intention. They will speak with strength and act with purpose. The outside world may be the same, but the internal world is entirely different, and it's the internal world that determines what happens next. Changing your thinking doesn't mean you pretend everything is perfect. It doesn't mean you deny problems or fake positivity. It means you choose to interpret life in a way that gives you power. Instead of saying, "I failed, so I'm a failure," you say, "I failed, so I learn." Instead of thinking, "I can't do this," you ask, "How can I do this better?" Instead of giving your energy to worry, you give it to action. It's not about ignoring reality, it's about facing it with a mindset that leads to growth, not defeat. You must become aware of the patterns that dominate your mind. Do you tend to focus on what's missing? Do you assume the worst when something doesn't go your way? Do you compare yourself to others and judge your worth by external results? If so, understand that these are habits, not truths, and like any habit, they can be broken and replaced. But first, you must slow down and notice them. Start by catching yourself when you feel discouraged, frustrated, or anxious. Ask yourself what thought came before that feeling. Trace it back. Then question it. Most of the time, the thought will be based on assumption, fear, or old programming. You can't control every thought that enters your mind, but you can control which ones you feed. When you shift your thinking, you shift your posture, your words, your presence, and your impact. A small change in your internal language can lead to massive change in your life direction. Begin by replacing automatic negative thoughts with questions that spark action. Instead of saying, "This is impossible," ask, "What's one small step I can take today?" Instead of saying, "I'm not ready," ask, "What can I prepare right now?" These shifts are not complicated, but they are powerful. They move you from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, from victimhood to ownership. Every time you choose a better thought, you are building mental strength. You're training your mind to support you rather than sabotage you. You're building a foundation that will hold steady in stress, pressure, and uncertainty. This is not about motivational fluff. This is about rewiring your mental operating system. Your beliefs shape your identity, and your identity drives your behavior. If you believe you're capable, you'll act like it. If you believe your past doesn't define your future, you'll stop carrying the weight of your history. If you believe that effort creates results, you'll push through discomfort. It all begins in the mind. The way you speak to yourself matters more than you realize. If your inner dialogue is full of doubt, blame, and criticism, then even the best strategies won't work, because you'll never believe they're for you. But when your inner dialogue becomes one of discipline, vision, and encouragement, you stop waiting for life to change. You start becoming the change. You do this by being deliberate about your thoughts every day. Start your mornings not with your phone or with worry, but with clarity. Ask yourself, who do I want to be today? What attitude will help me serve and grow? What challenge will I face with strength, rather than avoidance? Build a habit of checking in with your mind before the world floods in with noise and pressure. This simple discipline sets your focus and gives your day a direction. When negative thoughts arise, and they will, don't fight them with frustration. Acknowledge them, understand them, and then decide what you will do with them. You are not your thoughts. You are the thinker behind them. You have the power to choose a new thought, a better interpretation, a more useful question. And in that choice lies your freedom. People who live with purpose are not free of fear or doubt. They simply don't allow fear or doubt to control their mindset. They choose what to focus on. They choose what meaning to give to events. They choose to keep going, even when their emotions tell them to quit. This mental discipline isn't built overnight. It's built through practice. Every time you respond with strength instead of weakness, with purpose instead of panic, you're reinforcing a new pattern. Over time, these patterns create a new identity. You no longer see yourself as someone who is lost or reactive. You see yourself as someone who thinks clearly, acts decisively, and grows through whatever comes. That identity then produces new behaviors. You take initiative. You pursue your goals. You leave behind what doesn't serve you. And those behaviors create new results. More clarity, stronger confidence, deeper relationships, greater peace. Everything begins in the mind. Before you can change your habits, your income, your health, or your relationships, you must change the way you think. You must take full ownership of your inner world. No one else can do this for you. Not a book, not a speaker, not a friend. This is your responsibility. And it's the greatest responsibility you'll ever take on. Because once you master your thoughts, you begin to master your life. This is not always easy. Your old thought patterns will resist change. You'll fall back into doubt or negativity. But that's not failure. That's training. Each time you catch yourself and choose a better thought, you're getting stronger. Each time you shift from reaction to reflection, you're gaining wisdom. Each time you speak truth to the lies in your head, you're growing into your potential. You are capable of extraordinary change, but it starts with what you say to yourself when no one is listening. It starts with what you focus on when things don't go your way. It starts with how you interpret your challenges. If you want new results, you need new thoughts. And if you want new thoughts, you need to become intentional about what you allow in your mind. Your world changes when your attitude changes, because your attitude shapes what you notice, what you expect, and what you pursue. A defeated mind creates a defeated life. A resilient mind creates a meaningful life. The power is already in you. Now it's time to use it. Not by wishing, not by hoping, but by deciding. Decide that your thoughts will no longer be random. Decide that your mindset will reflect your values. Decide that from this moment forward, you will train your thinking the same way an athlete trains their body, with focus, with effort, with discipline. Because your thoughts are not small. They are the seeds of your future. And the life you create starts with the attitude you choose today. Chapter 2. Take full responsibility for everything in your life. If your life is not where you want it to be, there's only one place to look, and that's in the mirror. This isn't about blame, it's about power. As long as you believe your situation is because of someone else, you are giving away the only power you have to change it. Taking full responsibility means you stop waiting for others to fix things, stop hoping for different circumstances, and start making the necessary decisions to shape your own life. The shift is simple, but not easy. It's the decision to stop saying, "They did this to me," or "This always happens to me," and start saying, "This is mine to deal with. This is mine to solve. This is mine to rise above." You are responsible for your mindset, your attitude, your reactions, and your direction. It doesn't matter what your parents did, what your boss said, or what life threw at you. What matters is what you do with it now. No one is denying the pain or the unfairness that may have come your way. Life is often unfair, but that truth doesn't give you permission to live bitter, resentful, or stuck. It gives you the chance to decide whether you will stay small or rise stronger. That choice is yours, and it always will be. Responsibility is freedom disguised as discipline. It means you stop waiting for motivation. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You stop waiting for people to understand you. Instead, you begin. You show up. You build what matters, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable, even when no one claps. The moment you take full ownership, excuses start to dissolve. Suddenly, it's no longer about what others owe you. It's about what you're committed to. Life stops being something that happens to you and becomes something you create. Too many people spend their lives pointing fingers. They blame the system, the environment, their upbringing, their luck. But pointing fingers never solves problems. It only distracts from what needs to be done. The more energy you spend on blame, the less energy you have for action. And nothing changes without action. Responsibility is about looking at the facts of your life and asking one question: what am I going to do about it? If your finances are a mess, you can spend years being angry about what you weren't taught, or you can learn. If your relationships keep falling apart, you can stay stuck in stories about how people always let you down, or you can start working on how you communicate, how you listen, and who you choose to trust. If your health is falling apart, you can complain about how hard it is to change, or you can start small, be consistent, and honor the body you live in. Everything changes when you stop avoiding the hard truth and start doing something about it. When you take full responsibility, you start making decisions based on where you want to go, not where you've been. You stop replaying the past. You stop waiting for a break. You stop explaining your limitations. You start living with clarity and direction. This isn't about being perfect. You will still fall short. You will still make mistakes. But instead of running from those moments or hiding behind shame, you face them. You learn from them. You grow through them. Every time you choose responsibility over blame, you strengthen your character. You start trusting yourself. You stop needing others to validate you. You no longer need to be rescued because you know how to rise. This is not something that happens in a single moment. It's a practice. It's the way you respond when something goes wrong. It's how you show up when you're tired. It's the quiet decision to be better even when no one is watching. Taking full responsibility doesn't mean you control everything. You can't control the weather. You can't control what someone else says or does. You can't change the past. But you can control how you show up in the storm. You can control your effort, your learning, your responses. You can control the path you choose, moving forward. That's all you need. Waiting for things to be fair or easy only delays your growth. Life won't wait, and neither should you. There will always be people who choose to stay victims. They want someone to blame. They want to feel right more than they want to be free. But that path leads nowhere. It leads to bitterness, stagnation, and regret. You have a different path in front of you. It's the path of ownership, the path where you say, whatever happens, I will rise. I will take the lesson. I will build something better. That kind of attitude creates strength that can't be taken from you. Think about the areas in your life right now that feel stuck. Ask yourself, where am I avoiding responsibility? Where am I waiting for someone else to change? Where am I using the past as an excuse for not moving forward? These are the places where your power is buried, and once you see it, you can begin to claim it. Taking responsibility is the foundation of growth because it forces you to look at reality without filters. It demands honesty. If you're not consistent, say it. If you've been blaming others, admit it. If you've been playing small, own it. Only then can you begin to improve. You don't have to fix everything overnight, but you do have to start. You do have to decide that your life is your responsibility, not just the good parts, but all of it. Responsibility is not punishment. It is the highest form of self-respect. It means you believe your actions matter. It means you believe you can do something about your situation, and that belief, repeated daily, transforms everything. People who take full responsibility live differently. They don't wait for approval. They don't expect handouts. They aren't controlled by moods. They are guided by vision, by discipline, by the willingness to do the work even when it's invisible. There is a quiet confidence that grows when you live this way. Not because life gets easier, but because you become stronger. You stop needing the world to behave a certain way for you to be at peace. You carry your peace with you. You carry your focus with you. You become someone who doesn't avoid hard things, but walks straight into them with a steady mind. Responsibility is the gateway to personal freedom. Once you take ownership of your thoughts, your time, your choices, and your energy, you no longer feel helpless. You no longer wait for someone else to fix your life. You become the one who creates the change. This is what separates those who grow from those who stay the same. It's not intelligence or talent. It's the willingness to say, "This is my life. I own it." Start with the small things. Stop blaming traffic for your lateness. Stop blaming your phone for your distractions. Stop blaming your past for your present behavior. The moment you stop giving your power away, you begin to take it back. And when you start taking it back, everything opens. Your goals feel possible. Your discipline gets sharper. Your vision becomes clearer. Not because life gave you a new chance, but because you gave yourself one. Every day is a chance to take responsibility for your next step. It doesn't matter what yesterday looked like. What matters is what you do now. Will you wait for things to change, or will you become the one who changes them? That decision belongs to you, and the longer you delay it, the more time you waste. This is your life. No one else is coming to live it for you. No one else can decide how you spend your time, how you use your energy, or how you face your challenges. Only you can do that. The more you accept this, the stronger you become, and that strength will carry you through the storms, through the silence, through the setbacks, not because life is easier, but because you've built the mindset to meet it with power. So take full responsibility for your choices, for your habits, for your direction. Do it not because you have to, but because you're ready. Ready to stop blaming, ready to stop waiting, ready to live fully. And when you do, the world around you will begin to change, because you changed first. Chapter 3. Train your mind to see what is good. Your mind is always looking for something. It scans your surroundings, your conversations, your memories, and your expectations, constantly filtering what to focus on and what to ignore. What you train it to look for determines how you feel, how you act, and how you live. When your mind is trained to search for the negative, the disappointing, or the frustrating, that's what you experience. Not because that's all that exists, but because that's what you've conditioned yourself to see. If you want to feel lighter, stronger, and more stable, you must train your mind to see what is good every single day. It doesn't take effort to notice what's wrong. That's the default setting for most people. We are surrounded by problems, noise, criticism, and fear. But just because something is loud doesn't mean it deserves your attention. You have to choose what you focus on, not once, but repeatedly. Training your mind is like training a muscle. It requires practice, it requires awareness, it requires repetition, and most importantly, it requires the willingness to let go of habits that do not serve your peace. Seeing what is good doesn't mean pretending life is perfect. It means choosing to recognize what is meaningful instead of constantly dwelling on what is missing. It's choosing to see strength where others only see struggle. It's noticing effort instead of criticizing imperfection. It's seeing the value in the moment you're living, rather than comparing it to a future that hasn't happened yet. Most people are trained by their past. They are shaped by disappointments, rejections, and fears that were never examined. And so they begin to expect the same outcomes over and over again. Without realizing it, they walk into every situation waiting for it to go wrong. That mindset steals joy. It steals potential. It shrinks your ability to grow. Training your mind to see what is good is not a trick. It's a discipline that rewrites those patterns. It builds a foundation where hope becomes stronger than fear. Start by noticing your thoughts throughout the day. Pay attention to how you interpret small events. If someone cancels plans, do you immediately assume they don't care? If your work is criticized, do you take it as a personal attack? These small patterns reveal how you're wired to think. The goal isn't to judge yourself, but to understand what you're repeating. Once you notice the pattern, you can interrupt it. You can ask yourself, is there another way to see this? And then look for it. You are not weak for having negative thoughts. Everyone does, but you are responsible for what you do with them. You can feed them and let them grow, or you can question them and shift your focus. The more often you choose to look for what's right, what's strong, what's helpful, the easier it becomes. Slowly, your mind starts to default to what lifts you instead of what drains you. One of the simplest ways to begin this training is through appreciation. Not the vague idea of gratitude, but the act of deliberately looking for something that is working. It could be a quiet morning, a kind word, a lesson learned through pain, or a moment of connection with someone you love. When you look for good with intention, you realize it's everywhere. It's just quiet. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't shout. It sits calmly, waiting for you to notice. People who train their minds this way are not delusional. They're grounded. They deal with challenges head-on, but they do it without letting the weight of the world crush their spirit. They can have a hard day and still say, there was something good here. That mindset isn't soft, it's strong. It's the kind of strength that lasts because it's built from the inside out. The way you see the world becomes the way you move through it. If you walk through life expecting disappointment, every challenge will feel like a confirmation of your belief. If you expect progress, you'll start noticing signs of growth, even in small ways. The difference isn't in the world, it's in your lens, and that lens is something you can shape. This isn't about looking for happiness in every corner. It's about choosing where your energy goes. When you dwell on problems, they expand in your mind. When you obsess over what's wrong, you miss the opportunity to act. But when you spot what is good, you build momentum. You become more grounded. You respond with clarity instead of panic. You start using your energy to build rather than to complain. You will meet people who constantly talk about what's missing. They focus on what they can't do, what others don't give them, and how unfair things feel. Being around that mindset is heavy, and if you're not careful, you start thinking the same way. This is why you must guard your attention. Protect it like your peace depends on it, because it does. Choose to be someone who sees opportunity instead of someone who waits for everything to be perfect before appreciating life. Some days, training your mind will feel easy. You'll notice progress, kindness, effort, and connection without trying. Other days, it will be harder. On those days, don't force a smile. Don't fake anything. Just look for one good thing. One moment that made you think. One person who showed up. One habit you followed. That one piece of good is enough to keep your perspective from spiraling. You're not looking for magic. You're building resilience. You don't need a perfect life to have a positive mindset. You need a clear reason to look beyond the noise. That reason is your peace. That reason is your growth. That reason is your ability to shape how you respond to your own experience. The world will never run out of reasons to feel discouraged. But if you train your mind with consistency, you'll start to rise above that discouragement, not by escaping it, but by outgrowing it. When you see what's good, you treat yourself with more compassion. You stop tearing yourself down for every mistake. You begin to see your own effort, your progress, your willingness to try again. That shift builds self-respect. And when you respect yourself, you naturally make better decisions. You take care of your time. You choose better company. You act with more calm and more direction. Your thoughts shape your nervous system. They affect your body, your sleep, your energy, and your focus. When your mind constantly loops negative stories, your body stays in tension, but when you feed your mind with thoughts that center you, thoughts of gratitude, growth, learning, and presence, you release that tension. You breathe easier, you sleep better, you focus longer. Training your mind to see what's good is not just a mental shift, it's a full-body transformation. And it's always a choice. No matter how bad a situation feels, there is always a response that brings you back to strength. Maybe it's patience. Maybe it's clarity. Maybe it's simply knowing you're doing your best. You have that option every moment of the day, but you must train for it. You must practice turning toward what builds you, even when what breaks you is louder. The more you commit to this mindset, the more your life begins to reflect it. You notice things others miss. You appreciate what others take for granted. You become a person who can stand in difficulty without being swallowed by it. That's not just strength, it's maturity. And it doesn't come from books or quotes. It comes from daily practice, from asking your mind to serve your peace, not your fear, from asking your attention to stay rooted in what is true, not in what is loud. You can train your mind to panic or to pause. You can train your thoughts to criticize or to learn. You can train your focus to dwell or to move forward. Every day is a chance to get better at this. Not because life demands it, but because your future deserves it. You don't need a special moment to start. You need only the decision to see today through a better lens, one that looks for what's good and finds it even when it's small, even when it's hidden, even when no one else sees it yet. Chapter 4. Build daily habits that support your best self. The person you become is shaped by what you do each day, not by what you wish for or what you plan to do someday. If you want to build a life that reflects your highest potential, you need daily habits that consistently point you in that direction. Your habits are the invisible structure that carries you through every season of your life. They decide how focused you are, how strong you stay, how calm you feel, and how far you grow. No matter how motivated you are today, your long-term results will always come from your habits, not your feelings, not your dreams, not your goals, but what you do without having to think about it. There's no secret routine or perfect formula for building the life you want. What matters is consistency. What matters is doing small things on purpose until they become a part of who you are. You don't need to change everything at once. You need to be clear about who you want to become and start acting like that version of yourself in the smallest ways. One small act done daily has more power than a burst of inspiration followed by a return to your old patterns. Habits are what keep you grounded when motivation disappears. They make success a process, not an accident. The biggest mistake most people make is trying to overhaul their life overnight. They start with intensity instead of simplicity. They build routines that exhaust them instead of support them. Then they burn out and believe they failed. The truth is, building daily habits that support your best self is not about how hard you work, but how smart you start. A strong habit is one that fits into your life and stays there without forcing it. It becomes part of your rhythm, and over time it rewires how you think, how you respond, and how you grow. You begin by choosing one habit that aligns with your values. If clarity is important to you, then start with a daily journal. If health matters, then commit to a walk every morning. If peace is your goal, then protect a few minutes of silence at the start of your day. Don't wait for life to slow down to create structure. Create structure so that life feels less chaotic. Habits give your mind and body something to return to. They anchor you in discipline when your emotions try to pull you away from your purpose. Every habit you build is either working for you or working against you. Scrolling for an hour before bed seems harmless until you realize it's stealing your sleep and draining your next morning. Skipping meals might feel efficient until you see how it affects your energy and mood. Putting off small tasks might feel easier in the moment, but it builds mental clutter that follows you everywhere. Pay attention to the patterns you repeat, because those patterns are shaping your future, whether you mean for them to or not. Supporting your best self is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters with more intention. A strong morning routine sets the tone for the entire day. Even 5 minutes of stillness, movement, or planning can shift your mindset before the world makes demands on your time. Starting your day with control reminds you that you are not just reacting, you are leading your life forward. When you protect your mornings, you carry more strength into everything that follows. Habits also protect your time. They remove the burden of decision-making. When something becomes a habit, it doesn't require negotiation. You don't have to convince yourself every day to do it. You just do it because it's part of your identity. That's why it's so important to start small. Build habits that are so simple, they're hard to skip. If you want to write, start with 1 sentence. If you want to stretch, begin with 2 minutes. If you want to read, start with 1 page. Consistency matters more than intensity. Frequency creates familiarity. Familiarity creates identity. When you commit to habits that reflect your highest self, you begin to feel more in control. You stop being pulled in 1,000 directions. You stop wasting energy on things that don't serve you. You feel more aligned, more prepared, and more capable of handling life's challenges. And over time, you start to believe in yourself, not because of one big success, but because of the discipline you keep proving to yourself in private. There will be days when your habits feel boring, repetitive, or even pointless. That's part of the process. The point of a habit is not to impress, it's to anchor. Your best self is not someone who chases excitement all the time. Your best self shows up, even when there's no applause, no rush, and no visible reward. Your best self keeps promises, not just to others, but to yourself. That kind of integrity is rare, and it's powerful. It builds trust in yourself that no one can take from you. As you build better habits, your standards change. You become more aware of what drains you and what elevates you. You begin saying no to distractions, not out of guilt, but out of clarity. You recognize that every time you choose discipline over comfort, you are reinforcing a stronger identity. You are reminding yourself that your future matters more than temporary ease. That shift doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen through every small act of alignment. Your environment plays a major role in your habits. Don't rely only on willpower. Set up your space to support your goals. Put the book on your pillow if you want to read before bed. Lay out your workout clothes the night before. Turn off notifications if your focus matters. Remove the obstacles that pull you off track. Make it easier to do what's right and harder to slip into distraction. You don't need more self-control. You need a better system. Track your habits, not to chase perfection, but to notice progress. When you see that you've shown up 10 days in a row, you'll start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. That identity is what will carry you through the tough days. Progress fuels belief. Belief fuels effort. Effort fuels transformation. Even on the days when you feel off, the act of showing up keeps you connected to your purpose. Eventually, your habits will become part of your character. You'll no longer say, "I'm trying to be focused." You'll say, "I am focused." You won't say, I want to be consistent. You'll say, I am consistent. That shift in identity is powerful because it no longer depends on mood. It becomes who you are. You don't chase motivation, you live by principles. When life gets busy or unpredictable, your habits become your anchor. They give you structure when everything feels uncertain. They remind you that even when things around you are out of your control, you still have a foundation. You can still wake up early. You can still move your body. You can still reflect, plan and grow. You can still choose the small wins that build long-term strength. The world doesn't need more people with big goals and no follow-through. It needs people who live their values day by day. People who are steady, focused and honest about what they're building. Your best self is not waiting at the finish line. Your best self is built through the effort, the repetition, and the small decisions you make when no one is watching. Start with one habit that makes you feel proud. One choice that reflects who you want to become. Make it non-negotiable. Keep it simple. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't try to be perfect. Just start. Stack another habit once the first one becomes part of your rhythm. Stay patient, stay consistent. Stay committed to showing up, especially when it's inconvenient. Building habits that support your best self is not about having more control over your life. It's about having more clarity within yourself. When your daily actions align with your highest values, you feel more grounded, more focused, and more at peace. You don't need to chase balance, you create it, one choice at a time, and those choices repeated over days, weeks, and months build a life that reflects the strongest and clearest version of who you are. Chapter 5. Speak with purpose to shape your direction. The words you speak shape the course of your life. Every time you open your mouth, you're either moving yourself forward or holding yourself back. Speech is not just communication, it's direction. It reveals how you think, what you believe, what you expect, and what you accept. If you want to live with intention, you must speak with intention. The way you describe your life becomes the way you experience it. When your language is careless, vague, or negative, your energy, mindset, and choices begin to reflect that same lack of clarity. But when your words are chosen with purpose, you become focused, calm, and centered. You start moving forward, not just reacting to whatever happens. Most people don't think about the power of what they say. They speak out of habit, frustration, or emotion, without realizing those words are creating their internal and external world. The statements you repeat about who you are, what's possible, what you expect, what you deserve, these are not just expressions, they are instructions to your mind. They become a blueprint for how you live. When you say you're stuck, your actions follow that belief. When you say you'll figure it out, your brain starts working towards solutions. Your speech either builds walls or opens doors, and you choose which one with every word. You don't need to be loud or eloquent to speak with purpose. You need to be clear. Purposeful speech is grounded. It is aware. It doesn't waste energy on gossip, complaints, or self-pity. It focuses on progress, clarity, and direction. When you speak with purpose, you say what you mean, and you mean what you say. You don't overpromise. You don't dramatize. You speak from a place of truth, not reaction. That kind of communication creates trust with yourself and with others. The most powerful shift you can make is to stop using language that weakens you. Replace "I can't" with "I will try." Replace "it's too hard" with "this will take effort." Replace "I'm always failing" with "I'm still learning." These aren't just nicer phrases. They're mental shifts that reinforce responsibility instead of helplessness. Purposeful speech turns problems into challenges, and turns obstacles into growth opportunities. The words you choose train your brain how to respond to life. You also have to be mindful of how you speak about yourself. Self-talk is not just something that happens in your mind, it often leaks out in your daily language. Pay attention to how you describe your abilities, your future, your value. If you constantly say you're tired, broken, unlucky, or behind, your energy begins to match those statements. But when you speak with confidence, even quietly, you begin to stand differently. Your decisions carry more weight. Your presence grows stronger, not because you're pretending to be something you're not, but because you're choosing to speak as someone who knows their direction. When you speak with purpose, you also speak less. You don't waste time explaining yourself to people who don't understand your values. You don't get pulled into arguments that have no purpose. You don't say things just to fill silence. Instead, you speak to create clarity. You speak to express what matters. You speak to lead yourself out of confusion and into action. Purposeful speech doesn't try to prove anything. It brings peace instead of noise. It moves conversations forward. It makes room for honesty and connection. This mindset also applies to how you speak to others. Words can build or break people. You can lift someone with a sentence or discourage them for days. Speaking with purpose means being aware of your impact. It means choosing to listen before you respond. It means using your words to solve, not to shame. In every relationship, personal or professional, your ability to speak clearly, kindly, and firmly will shape the quality of that connection. Strong communication doesn't come from saying more, it comes from saying what's necessary with care and clarity. The way you speak about the future matters. If you constantly describe what you're afraid of, what might go wrong, what you don't want, your energy stays rooted in fear. But when you speak about what you're building, where you're headed, and what matters to you, you give yourself a target. You tell your mind what to focus on. This doesn't mean you ignore challenges. It means you stop feeding them with your voice. Your words become the foundation of your vision. You also must be aware of the tone you use when you speak. Your tone communicates just as much as your words. If your words say one thing but your tone says something else, people will believe the tone. If you're sarcastic, bitter, dismissive, or impatient, even the right words can land wrong. But if you speak with calm, respect, and sincerity, your message carries weight. Purposeful speech is not just about vocabulary, it's about intention, it's about being fully present when you speak, and fully responsible for what you say. Sometimes, the most powerful way to speak with purpose is to choose silence. Not everything needs a response. Not every opinion needs to be expressed. Not every conflict needs your voice. Silence, when used with awareness, creates space for clarity. It gives you time to respond instead of react. It helps you listen more deeply and understand more clearly. Choosing when to speak and when to stay quiet is a form of wisdom that sharpens your focus and deepens your strength. Practice speaking with purpose by becoming more aware of your language throughout the day. Notice the phrases you use without thinking. Pay attention to your tone, your volume, your message. Ask yourself whether your words are leading you closer to your values or pulling you away from them. Are you speaking to impress or to express? Are you speaking from fear or from truth? Are you speaking with direction or just reacting to the moment? Even small changes in your language can have a huge impact on your confidence, your relationships, and your ability to stay grounded. Instead of saying, "I hope," start saying, "I will." Instead of saying, "I don't know," start saying, "I'll find out." Instead of saying, "That's just how I am," start saying, "I'm working on it." These shifts might seem simple, but over time, They change how you see yourself and how others see you. Purposeful speech is not about being perfect. It's about being present. It's about taking ownership of your words, because they are an extension of your beliefs and your vision. When you speak with purpose, you begin to live with more purpose. Your words align with your actions. Your values show up in your communication, and your life begins to move in a direction that feels strong, clear, and intentional. You have the power to use your voice to change your future, not by speaking louder, but by speaking with clarity, not by impressing others, but by guiding yourself. Every word you say is a choice. Make that choice count. Speak with direction. Speak with integrity. Speak with the awareness that your words are building your path. And over time, that path becomes the life you live. One word, one sentence, one conversation at a time. Chapter 6. Surround yourself with people who lift you. The people around you are not neutral. They either raise your standards or pull them down. They either strengthen your focus or scatter your energy. They either remind you of what's possible or constantly warn you of what could go wrong. Who you spend time with affects how you think, what you believe, and how you see yourself. If you want to grow into your strongest self, you need to be surrounded by those who lift you, not because you need their approval, but because their presence reminds you of your worth, your direction, and your potential. You don't outgrow your environment until you step out of it. You might have big dreams, clear values, and strong discipline, but if the people around you don't believe in growth, consistency, or responsibility, their mindset starts to rub off on you, not because you're weak, but because you're human. Every conversation you have leaves a mark. Every attitude you're around influences your own, whether you realize it or not. That's why protecting your space is not selfish. It's necessary. Support doesn't always look like loud cheerleading. Sometimes, the people who lift you are the ones who hold you accountable. They challenge your excuses. They remind you of who you said you wanted to become. They don't let you settle for average when they know you're capable of excellence. These people are rare. You won't find them by chance. You have to be intentional about keeping them close, learning from them, and contributing back to them. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with someone. Do you feel clearer or more confused? Do you feel energized or emotionally drained? Do you feel more grounded or more reactive? The answers will tell you more than their words ever could. People don't need to be toxic to be wrong for your growth. Some people are simply not aligned with where you're headed. That's not a judgment of their worth. It's a recognition of your direction. There are people who will always remind you of your past. They will only see you through the lens of who you used to be. They'll downplay your efforts because they're uncomfortable with your growth. Keeping these people close will slow you down, not because they're bad, but because they don't reflect your future. You don't owe loyalty to a version of life that no longer fits. You owe truth to the person you're becoming. Your inner circle should challenge you to be better without making you feel like you're not enough. They should encourage your ambition without mocking your discipline. They should respect your boundaries without making you feel guilty. These are the people who raise your standards just by the way they live. You don't have to explain your hunger for growth around them because they live it too. Being around them makes you sharper, more focused, and more at peace with the journey ahead. Choosing to be around people who lift you doesn't mean cutting everyone off. It means being honest about who influences you most. You can love someone deeply and still limit the role they play in your life. You can care about someone and still choose not to share your plans with them if their energy doesn't support your clarity. Not everyone needs access to your goals, your vision, or your inner world. Protecting your peace sometimes means limiting the noise around you. Growth requires space, and that space is often created by distance from people, conversations, and dynamics that keep you stuck. This doesn't make you cold or disloyal. It makes you responsible for your energy. It means you value your mental clarity enough to guard it. You're not above anyone. You're simply committed to what's ahead of you more than what's behind you. And that choice takes strength. The people who lift you will never compete with your growth. They won't try to dim your light to feel better about their own. They will celebrate your wins because your progress doesn't threaten them. In fact, it inspires them, and they'll offer support when you're struggling. Not out of pity, but because they know you're capable of rising again. These people are rare, and they're worth holding on to. Sometimes, the person who lifts you the most won't say much at all. They lead by example. They live with integrity. They show up with consistency. Their habits, their focus, their character remind you of what's possible. Being in their presence makes you want to be better, not to impress them, but because they raise your standards just by how they live. Seek out people like this. Learn from them. Support them. Grow with them. As you elevate your life, you may feel lonely at times. That's normal. When you outgrow certain dynamics, there's a space between who you were and who you're becoming. Don't rush to fill that space with noise. Use it to deepen your clarity. The right people will come, not when you're desperate, but when you're aligned. When you live by your values, you attract people who recognize and respect them. Stay patient and stay grounded. You also have to be the kind of person who lifts others. Don't just look for encouragement, offer it. Don't just expect honesty, speak it. Don't just want accountability, provide it. The more you live with integrity, the more you draw others who do the same. Energy finds energy, purpose finds purpose. Discipline finds discipline. Build relationships that are rooted in mutual growth, not one-sided support. Surrounding yourself with people who lift you isn't about building a perfect group. It's about finding people who are real, who are honest, who don't run from hard conversations, who want to grow even when it's uncomfortable, who live with purpose, not performance. These are the people who help you stay grounded when life gets messy. They remind you of who you are when you forget. They don't fix you. They walk with you. As you grow, you'll start to notice who speaks life into your goals and who speaks doubt into them. Pay attention to that. The people closest to you should believe in your potential, even when you're struggling to see it yourself. They don't need to understand every detail, but they need to respect your effort. If someone constantly minimizes your vision, your ambition, or your boundaries, that's not support. That's resistance disguised as concern. You deserve relationships that don't leave you feeling small. You deserve conversations that stretch your thinking. You deserve friendships that support your evolution, not just your comfort. Don't settle for proximity when what you need is alignment. Don't settle for familiarity when what you need is growth. Your circle should be a reflection of your future, not just a reminder of your past. You become what you're surrounded by. That's not a slogan, it's a fact. If you spend time around people who complain, you'll start to see the world through their eyes. If you spend time around people who rise, you'll start believing you can too. Choose your circle like your life depends on it, because it does. And once you find the people who lift you, honor them, support them, grow with them. Together you'll move forward with strength, clarity and purpose. Chapter 7. Let go of anger and choose inner calm. Anger is a natural emotion, but when left unchecked, it becomes a heavy weight that blocks peace, clarity, and personal growth. Holding on to anger drains your mental energy, affects your health, clouds your decisions, and damages your relationships. Choosing inner calm doesn't mean you never feel anger. It means you stop letting it lead your life. The truth is, most people carry more anger than they admit. It hides behind irritation, sarcasm, cold silence, and constant frustration. But that anger doesn't just stay in one place. It spills into how you treat others, how you view yourself, and how you respond to challenges. Releasing it is not weakness, it's strength that protects your emotional space. Many people hold on to anger because they believe it gives them control. They think being angry makes them powerful or protects them from being hurt again. But anger does not give you control. It controls you. It narrows your vision, fuels your ego, and disconnects you from your calm, wise self. When you act from anger, you react without thinking. You say things you regret. You make choices that reflect your emotion, not your values. And the damage that comes from those moments often takes longer to repair than the situation that caused the anger in the first place. Letting go of anger is not about pretending that what happened was okay. It's not about forgetting or accepting unfairness. It's about choosing to stop letting the past write your future. When you hold on to anger, you're staying mentally connected to the pain. You keep revisiting it. You replay conversations. You build resentment. And every time you do, you relive the stress. You don't free yourself by feeding the anger. You free yourself by stepping away from the cycle and deciding to reclaim your energy. Choosing inner calm means refusing to let external chaos define your inner state. Life will always bring situations that challenge your patience. People will misunderstand you, hurt you, or disappoint you, but your response is your responsibility. You don't have to take every insult personally. You don't have to argue to prove your worth. You don't have to carry emotional burdens that were never yours to hold. Inner calm gives you the space to pause, to breathe, to see clearly before you act. It creates a gap between the event and your reaction, and that gap is where your power lives. You won't master calm overnight. It's a discipline, just like strength or focus. It starts with awareness. Notice when anger arises. Pay attention to what triggers you and what stories you attach to those feelings. Often, anger isn't about the moment, it's about what the moment reminds you of. An old wound, a past betrayal, a fear of being disrespected. When you recognize the deeper layer, you gain the ability to respond from clarity, not impulse. You stop reacting to everything as a threat, and you start seeing it for what it really is. One powerful way to begin letting go of anger is through honesty. Be honest with yourself about what you're holding on to. Are you still replaying something someone said months ago? Are you quietly resenting someone while pretending everything is fine? Are you using anger as a shield to avoid feeling sadness or disappointment? Bring these truths to light. You don't need to judge yourself. You just need to see what's there. Naming your emotions is the first step to not being ruled by them. Another key to releasing anger is learning how to respond, not explode. When someone says something rude, pause before speaking. When a situation feels unfair, take a breath before acting. That pause might seem small, but it's everything. It breaks the automatic reaction. It gives you space to choose a response that reflects who you want to be, not just how you feel in the moment. Calm is not passive, it's powerful. It means you're centered enough to protect your peace even when others try to pull you into chaos. Choosing calm also means protecting your mind from constant stimulation. Anger thrives in environments filled with noise, pressure, and endless comparison. If your days are filled with conflict, arguments, negativity, or outrage from what you watch or consume, your nervous system stays high alert. Create space for stillness. Step away from the noise. Spend time in quiet moments where nothing is demanded of you. This isn't a luxury, it's necessary. In those moments, your mind resets. Your emotions settle. Your awareness sharpens. Calm is not something you wait to feel, it's something you practice. It's also important to forgive, not for them, but for yourself. Forgiveness is not about letting someone off the hook. It's about removing the hook from your own heart. When you forgive, you stop tying your peace to someone else's behavior. You reclaim your power. You decide that your future deserves more attention than your past. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It means resolution within yourself. It's a decision to no longer let someone else's actions poison your mindset. There will be times when anger feels justified, when someone crosses a line, when something deeply unfair happens. In those moments, don't suppress your feelings, let them rise, acknowledge them. Write them down, move your body, let the energy pass through without clinging to it. Emotions are meant to move, not stay stuck. If you ignore your anger, it will come out in other ways. But if you express it with intention and then release it, it loses its grip on you. You have the right to feel every emotion, but you also have the responsibility to not let those emotions lead your life. Inner calm does not mean you stop caring. It means you start caring about the right things, your peace, your focus, your growth, your values. When you choose calm over anger, you are not avoiding conflict, you are choosing clarity. You are not giving up power, you are claiming it. You don't need permission to be calm. You don't need a perfect life to feel at peace. You need only to decide that your peace matters more than proving a point, more than winning an argument, more than holding a grudge. Inner calm is not for the world, it's for you. It's what allows you to sleep at night. It's what allows you to move through your day without carrying emotional weight that doesn't belong to you anymore. This is a practice you return to every day. You will be tested. People will try to provoke you. Circumstances will challenge your patience. But each time you choose to let go instead of grip tighter, you get stronger. You don't rise by carrying more. You rise by releasing what no longer serves you. And when you do, you start to see life differently. You think more clearly, you speak more wisely, you act more intentionally. That's what calm creates, a clear path forward. In the end, anger is a visitor, but it doesn't have to be your home. You don't need to live in reaction. You don't need to fight every battle. You don't need to hold on to pain to remember who you are. You are not defined by your frustration. You are defined by your ability to rise above it. Choose calm, not once, but again and again, until it becomes your natural state. Not because life is easy, but because you've learned how to lead yourself through it, with strength, with clarity, with peace. Chapter 8. Focus on progress, not on chasing perfection. Chasing perfection keeps you stuck while progress moves you forward. Many people wait until everything feels right before they begin, but that mindset guarantees delay, frustration, and burnout. Perfection is not a goal, it's a trap. It convinces you that unless everything is flawless, it's not worth doing. That unless the plan is complete, the effort doesn't matter. That unless the outcome is impressive, it shouldn't be shared. And that thinking quietly kills growth. Real success comes from movement. It comes from action, even when you're uncertain. It comes from choosing to begin where you are and letting improvement happen through the process. Progress is not glamorous. It's not dramatic. It's small steps repeated without applause. It's the willingness to start something and improve it along the way. It's understanding that momentum matters more than mastery. That growth happens not by waiting for ideal conditions, but by showing up and doing what you can with what you have. People who focus on progress learn to be flexible. They learn to adjust. They learn to move forward even when it's messy, and over time, their consistent effort builds something real. Perfection is rooted in fear. It says, don't try unless you know you'll succeed. It says, don't speak unless you're sure you'll be understood. It says, don't act unless the result will be impressive. That fear sounds logical, but it keeps you from the very things that develop confidence and clarity. Progress is built on courage. It says, try anyway. It says, start now. It says, learn as you go. That mindset will carry you through setbacks, self-doubt and uncertainty, because it's not attached to a flawless outcome. It's anchored in movement. You don't need to impress the world, you need to improve yourself. And improvement comes from action, from learning through doing, from refining over time. When you chase perfection, you measure your worth by a result that may never come. When you focus on progress, you measure success by your effort, your consistency, and your growth. That creates a mindset of resilience. It helps you keep going even when results are slow or unseen, because you know that every small step matters. Many people give up too early because they're not seeing instant success. They start a new habit, a goal, or a project, and expect perfect results right away. But that's not how progress works. Growth is often invisible at first. You might not notice changes immediately. You might not feel confident right away. But every time you choose action over avoidance, you're building strength. Every time you try again after a setback, you're building discipline. Every time you stay focused even when it's not exciting, you're building grit. Progress also means accepting that you won't always feel motivated. Some days you'll feel off, tired, or distracted. But if you show up anyway, you prove to yourself that your actions are not controlled by your emotions. That's powerful. That's what builds identity. You stop being someone who waits to feel ready and become someone who acts because the goal matters. The days you push through resistance are more valuable than the days when everything feels easy. Let go of the pressure to do everything perfectly and start building routines that support consistent action. Instead of trying to perfect your morning, just commit to showing up. Instead of trying to write a flawless page, just write something honest. Instead of needing the perfect workout plan, just move your body. Consistency builds momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence leads to long-term results. The people who go far are not the most talented or prepared. They're the most consistent and the most focused on getting better, not getting it perfect. When you focus on progress, you become more kind to yourself. You stop judging every mistake as failure and start seeing them as part of the process. You learn from missteps instead of hiding from them. You bounce back faster because you're not weighed down by unrealistic expectations. This mindset builds mental toughness. It helps you stay grounded even when things don't go according to plan. You realize that setbacks are temporary, but giving up makes them permanent. Progress also helps you stay focused on what's in your control. You might not be able to control how fast things improve, how others respond, or what happens around you. But you can always control your effort. You can control your habits, your attitude, and your discipline. When you anchor yourself to effort instead of outcome, you stay steady even in uncertain seasons. You keep moving because you trust the process, not just the results. You also learn to celebrate your growth instead of constantly chasing a finish line. There's always another level to reach. But if you never pause to acknowledge your effort, you'll always feel behind. Focusing on progress allows you to say, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm further than I was. That simple shift creates gratitude. It helps you recognize your wins, even when they're quiet. It makes the journey sustainable, because it's not just about the destination, it's about who you're becoming along the way. This mindset impacts how you treat others too. When you stop expecting perfection from yourself, you stop expecting it from everyone else. You become more patient, more understanding, more grounded in reality. You stop criticizing people for not being where you think they should be, and start appreciating them for who they're becoming. You create space for honesty, for support, for real connection, and that kind of connection is built on progress, not performance. You also learn to enjoy the process more. When everything isn't measured by perfect results, you're free to explore, to try, to play, to experiment. You stop waiting for the perfect time and start taking imperfect steps with a clear purpose. You stop judging every step and start learning from each one. That's how creativity grows. That's how confidence is built. That's how real change begins. Not through pressure, but through consistent movement. There will always be voices, internal and external, that tell you you're not enough yet. That your work, your body, your ideas, your life need to be better before they matter. Don't listen to those voices. Listen to the results that come from steady effort. Listen to the strength you feel when you keep a promise to yourself. Listen to the quiet pride that comes from doing something difficult, even if it wasn't perfect. That's the voice of progress. Follow it. Don't confuse doing your best with being perfect. Doing your best means showing up with what you have. It means being honest about your limits and pushing them when you can. It means learning as you go, staying open, and not letting fear of imperfection stop you from living with purpose. The goal isn't to never make mistakes. The goal is to learn from them and grow stronger. The goal isn't to impress everyone, it's to stay aligned with your own values. Keep your focus on what moves you forward. Set goals that stretch you, not paralyze you. Take action every day, even if it feels small. Track your progress to remind yourself that growth is happening. Adjust your plans as needed, but stay rooted in your effort. This is the mindset that will carry you through the highs and lows. This is what separates those who dream from those who build. Progress is powerful because it builds belief. Every step forward tells your mind that change is possible. Every improvement, no matter how small, creates momentum. Don't let perfection steal that from you. Don't let the illusion of flawlessness rob you of the progress that's right in front of you. Start now. Stay consistent. Focus on progress. And keep moving forward, one real step at a time. Chapter 9. Choose action over excuses, every single time. Excuses are easy. They're always available, always convincing, and always justifiable if you want them to be. You can find one for almost anything. Why you didn't start, why you stopped, why you're not where you should be, or why you think it's too late. But every time you choose an excuse, you delay your progress. You give up control and hand your power over to something external. Action, on the other hand, puts the power back in your hands. It demands effort. It requires honesty. It pushes against resistance. But it's the only path that moves you forward. When you choose action over excuses, you train your mind to take responsibility, not seek escape. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they wait. They tell themselves they'll start when they have more time, more clarity, more support, or more confidence. But that day rarely comes. Conditions are never perfect. The truth is, you're never going to feel fully ready. That's why action is essential. It breaks the cycle of delay. It silences the voice that keeps telling you to wait for the right moment. Every small step you take builds momentum, and momentum is what breaks fear, hesitation, and doubt. Excuses often sound logical. They are wrapped in reasons that appear valid on the surface, but if you look closer, most excuses are driven by fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of discomfort, fear of not being good enough. That fear convinces you that doing nothing is safer than risking effort, but the cost of inaction is high. It steals your potential, weakens your confidence, and builds regret over time. The longer you wait, the heavier the weight becomes. Choosing action, even in small doses, is how you break that cycle and start rebuilding your inner strength. You don't need motivation to act. You need discipline. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a decision. If you wait to feel ready, you'll keep waiting. But if you commit to showing up regardless of how you feel, you begin to shift. You prove to yourself that you're in control, that your habits are stronger than your excuses, that you're capable of doing hard things. And every time you follow through, even when it's inconvenient, you reinforce the identity of someone who takes responsibility for their life. Action builds clarity. You might not know exactly what to do or how it will turn out, but movement helps you figure it out. You learn by doing. You gain insight through experience. You adjust through feedback. But none of that happens if you stay stuck in planning or overthinking. Excuses love indecision. They thrive in hesitation. Action breaks that pattern. It pushes you into motion, where learning can begin and growth can take place. Clarity is rarely found in sitting still. It comes from doing the work. Excuses also hide in comparison. You look at others and assume they had it easier. You convince yourself that your challenges are unique. But everyone struggles. Everyone faces setbacks. What separates those who succeed is not the absence of obstacles. It's their willingness to act in spite of them. You don't need ideal circumstances. You need courage. Courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. It means you choose to act while fear is present. That one decision changes everything. Choosing action means being honest with yourself. It means calling out your patterns instead of hiding behind them. If you keep saying you don't have time, track how you spend your hours. If you keep saying you're not ready, ask what exactly you're waiting for. Often, the truth is not that you can't, it's that you won't. And once you admit that, you can begin to change it. Honesty is the starting point of transformation. Without it, you're just managing symptoms. With it, you can address the root. One of the hardest parts of choosing action is pushing through the discomfort of starting. The beginning is often the most awkward, the most uncertain, and the most exposed. You feel vulnerable, unsure, and impatient, but the beginning is also where the most growth happens. It's where your courage is built, where your commitment is tested, and if you can stay focused through those early stages, you'll build resilience that carries into every part of your life. You don't need to take massive steps. Start small. Start where you are. Build momentum through consistency. The power is in daily effort. In the decision to act when it's easier to delay. In doing the one thing you keep avoiding. Progress comes from compound effort. Actions repeated over time with focus and intention. Excuses interrupt that pattern. Action reinforces it. And the more you act, the less appealing excuses become. You stop tolerating your own avoidance. You raise your standards. You take yourself seriously. Sometimes, the best way to silence excuses is to simplify the process. Don't overcomplicate what you need to do. Choose one clear action, block time for it. Remove distractions, then do it. You don't need to finish everything in one day. You just need to do something that moves you forward. The people who make the most progress aren't the ones who do everything. They're the ones who do something consistently. They don't waste time trying to be perfect. They commit to showing up and improving along the way. You also need to stop explaining yourself to people who don't share your vision. Excuses often grow stronger when you feel misunderstood or judged. But your path doesn't need to make sense to everyone. You don't need permission to take action. You don't need validation to pursue growth. You just need to stay aligned with your values. The moment you stop defending your goals and start living them, you take your power back. Action makes that possible. It's easy to talk about what you want to do, to read, plan, or imagine. But talk is only useful when it leads to movement. Don't let inspiration replace execution. Don't let planning become a substitute for progress. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is only crossed through action, not through perfect timing. Not through more information, but through showing up and doing the work. Taking action isn't about being busy. It's about being intentional. Focused effort creates results. Random movement doesn't. Choose actions that align with your goals. Be clear about what you're working toward. Track your steps. Adjust when needed, but keep moving. Don't confuse activity with effectiveness. Discipline means doing what matters most, not just what's urgent or easy. And the more you choose intentional action, the more focused your life becomes. When you feel stuck, don't wait for inspiration. Create it. Take a small step. Prove to yourself that you're not controlled by excuses. That single act shifts your mindset. It interrupts the cycle, and it builds the self-trust you need to continue. You'll never regret taking action that supports your growth, but you will regret letting fear or doubt hold you back from becoming who you were meant to be. You are not defined by what you avoided in the past. You are defined by what you choose now. Every excuse you've ever made can be replaced with a single act of courage. And every action you take, no matter how small, is a statement of who you're becoming. Choose action. Again and again, until it becomes who you are. Not because it's easy, but because it's the only way forward. Chapter 10. Wake up early and own your morning hours. Waking up early is more than just setting an alarm and dragging yourself out of bed. It's a conscious decision to claim control over your day from the very start. The quiet morning hours offer a unique opportunity, a space without distraction where you can focus on your priorities, prepare your mind, and set the tone for how the rest of your day will unfold. When you own your morning, you don't react to the chaos around you. Instead, you create the conditions that allow you to perform at your best and live intentionally. Starting your day early means you gain time that most people lose to rushing, distractions, or scrambling to catch up. That extra time is a gift to your personal growth, health, and goals. It's when your mind is fresh, your energy is untapped, and your focus is clearer. Early mornings offer a chance to engage in activities that nurture your body, mind, and spirit, whether it's exercise, meditation, planning, or learning. This quiet period isn't about checking off tasks mindlessly. It's about setting a foundation of purpose that guides everything else. Many avoid waking up early because it feels uncomfortable. Leaving the warmth of the bed, the ease of sleep, and the allure of rest takes discipline, but discipline is what separates those who merely dream from those who achieve. The discomfort you feel when waking early is temporary. It fades as you build the habit and start experiencing the benefits. Over time, your body adapts, and that early hour becomes a place of peace and productivity rather than struggle. The key is to start gradually, adjusting your schedule consistently instead of forcing a sudden change that's unsustainable. Owning your morning means creating a ritual that suits you. It's not about following someone else's routine perfectly, but about designing habits that serve your goals and well-being. Some people might find clarity in journaling, others in stretching or walking outside. Maybe reading or reviewing your goals sparks motivation. Find what grounds you and commit to it. The consistency of this practice compounds over weeks and months. It builds momentum and sets a tone of intentionality that influences every decision you make throughout the day. The morning also offers a chance to prioritize your mindset. Before the world demands your attention, you can choose the thoughts you carry. Instead of diving into emails, news, or social media, things that often trigger stress or distraction, spend that time nurturing focus and calm. Breathing exercises, gratitude reflection, or visualization of your day's goals train your mind to lead instead of follow. This early mental preparation strengthens resilience against daily challenges and helps you respond rather than react. Waking up early connects directly to physical well-being. Morning light signals your body to regulate hormones, balance sleep cycles, and boost energy. When you align your sleep and wake times with natural rhythms, your body functions more efficiently. Early risers often report better mood, sharper focus, and higher stamina. Exercising in the morning takes advantage of this surge in energy and kickstarts metabolism. This healthy habit reinforces discipline and leaves you feeling accomplished before most people even begin their day. Taking control of your mornings also helps eliminate procrastination. Without the pressure of deadlines or interruptions, you can focus deeply on your most important tasks. This is the time to tackle work that requires creativity, problem solving, or concentration. When you finish a meaningful task early, the rest of your day feels lighter and less chaotic. The energy you generate in the morning flows into every interaction, meeting, and decision. You're less likely to get overwhelmed because you've already won a critical battle, starting strong. Many successful people credit their achievements to owning their mornings. This habit creates a rhythm of self-respect and commitment. It signals to your brain that your goals matter enough to prioritize. The routine builds confidence and strengthens your identity as someone who is intentional and disciplined. These morning hours become a personal sanctuary where you remind yourself why you're working so hard. It's a daily investment in yourself that pays dividends in productivity and peace of mind. Waking up early also means protecting your time. When you take charge of those hours, you reduce the chance that others will control your schedule. You create space to plan, set boundaries, and focus on what matters most instead of reacting to every request or distraction. This control helps you build a life where your priorities lead, not your obligations or the noise of everyday demands. It's a quiet rebellion against chaos and an affirmation of your commitment to your own path. Building this habit requires intentional preparation the night before. Going to bed earlier and creating a calm evening routine ensures your body is ready to wake early refreshed. Avoid screens, heavy meals, or stressful activities close to bedtime. Instead, choose habits that promote relaxation, reading, stretching, or reflecting on the day. Quality sleep is the foundation for a successful morning. Without it, waking early becomes a struggle rather than an advantage. When the alarm goes off, resist the urge to snooze. Snoozing fragments sleep and actually increases tiredness. Instead, get up immediately and engage in a brief activity, stretch, drink water, or step outside. This simple action signals to your body that the day is beginning. The momentum from this first movement carries you through your morning routine. The choice to get out of bed becomes a commitment to yourself that sets a tone of integrity. There will be days when waking early feels impossible. Fatigue, stress, or unexpected circumstances might slow you down. On those days, be kind to yourself without giving up entirely. Adjust your schedule, but don't abandon the practice. Even 15 minutes of focused morning time counts. Consistency over perfection builds this habit into your lifestyle. The goal is progress, not punishment. Owning your morning also impacts your long-term mindset. It trains patience, resilience, and self-control. It helps you prioritize what matters over what's urgent or distracting. It shifts your relationship with time from scarcity to abundance. The discipline you build in the early hours often spreads into other areas of your life, helping you face challenges with steadiness and purpose. Finally, owning your morning is a declaration of your commitment to growth. It's a daily choice to invest in yourself before the world demands attention. It's a moment of clarity when you decide what kind of day you will have, what kind of person you will be, and what kind of future you will build. That choice, repeated every morning, creates a foundation for a life defined by intention, focus, and fulfillment. The power to change your day and your world lies in the hours before most people wake. Claim them, use them, own them. Chapter 11. Practice gratitude to rewire your emotional state. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools you have to change your emotional state, not just for a moment, but in a lasting and meaningful way. When practiced consistently, it begins to shift how you see the world, how you interpret your experiences, and how you respond to challenges. It brings your focus away from what's missing and toward what's already present. It helps quiet your internal noise and reminds you that even on hard days, something is still working in your favor. The human mind has a habit of noticing problems first. It scans for what's wrong, what's lacking, what might go wrong next. This survival instinct, while useful in danger, becomes destructive when left unbalanced. Gratitude introduces the necessary balance. It interrupts the spiral of negativity and brings your attention to what is good, what is working, what is meaningful. You don't need a perfect life to practice gratitude. You need only a willingness to shift your focus. The moment you start looking for something to appreciate, you begin training your mind to find more of it. That training changes how you feel, how you think, and how you behave. Your emotional state becomes less dependent on circumstances and more grounded in awareness. Gratitude is not denial of pain, it's clarity in the presence of it. It doesn't erase struggle, but it prevents struggle from becoming the whole story. When you begin your day with gratitude, you set the tone for everything that follows. You tell your mind where to focus. You stop rushing past your blessings. You begin seeing the value in small everyday moments. A breath of fresh air, a smile from a stranger, the fact that you have food, the ability to move your body, or simply another chance to grow. These things often go unnoticed, but they hold real weight when you begin to see them clearly. Gratitude reminds you that joy doesn't only live in big achievements, it lives in presence and perspective. To rewire your emotional state, gratitude must become a practice, not a passing feeling. That means creating space for it every day. Writing down 3 things you're grateful for each morning. Taking a quiet moment at night to reflect on what went right. Saying thank you to the people in your life, not just with words, but through your presence and attention. These simple acts are not trivial. They're training. They teach your brain to seek the positive, even in discomfort. Over time, this shapes your emotional landscape. Gratitude builds resilience because it creates emotional stability. When life feels uncertain or difficult, your mind will naturally want to focus on what's wrong. But if you've been practicing gratitude regularly, you'll have a mental anchor. You'll remember that this challenge isn't the whole picture. You'll see the support you have, the lessons available, the progress you've already made. This doesn't eliminate pain, but it gives you the strength to face it with steadiness. That steadiness is what separates people who break down under stress from those who grow through it. Gratitude also deepens connection. When you appreciate others openly and sincerely, you strengthen your relationships. People feel seen, valued, and respected. Expressing gratitude brings more warmth into conversations. It reduces tension. It invites kindness. Whether it's acknowledging a partner's effort, appreciating a friend's presence, or recognizing a colleague's support, these moments create a culture of respect. And when your relationships feel stronger, your emotional health improves. You don't have to wait for big moments to be grateful. Gratitude for the ordinary is what builds a lasting habit. The taste of your favorite tea, the sound of rain, the comfort of silence, the ability to read, the growth you've achieved that no one else sees, all of these deserve recognition. Gratitude doesn't always need words. Sometimes it's just taking a breath and pausing long enough to feel the weight of the moment and accept it fully. This kind of stillness opens the door to peace. Practicing gratitude can also shift how you speak. Your language becomes less focused on complaints and more rooted in what you value. You stop reinforcing what's missing and begin reinforcing what matters. This doesn't mean ignoring problems. It means refusing to be defined by them. The way you speak shapes the way you feel. When your words reflect appreciation, your emotions begin to match them. You create a loop that builds strength from the inside out. When facing setbacks, gratitude becomes even more important. In these moments, it's tempting to fall into victim thinking, to believe that everything is against you, that progress has stopped, or that there's no hope. Gratitude challenges that belief. It says, look again, even here, there's something valuable. Even now, you're still growing. Maybe the setback taught you something. Maybe it revealed who really supports you. Maybe it reminded you of what truly matters. Gratitude finds meaning where others only see disappointment. If you've been feeling overwhelmed, unmotivated, or anxious, chances are you've stopped noticing what's already good. Not because nothing is working, but because your attention has been hijacked by stress. Gratitude can pull your focus back to what grounds you. It reminds you that you are not powerless, that there are still things you can choose, that not everything is broken. This shift won't erase all difficulty, but it will give you the mental and emotional space to handle it more clearly. There's also a deeper layer to gratitude. It humbles you. It reminds you that much of what you enjoy came from someone else's effort. Someone grew your food, built your home, cleaned your streets, taught your teachers. Someone forgave you. Someone stood by you. Someone made sacrifices that opened doors for your life to be what it is today. Gratitude acknowledges the invisible labor behind the scenes and keeps you connected to a larger human story. This awareness softens pride and strengthens compassion. Gratitude isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about staying aware of what is still good in the midst of imperfection. It's about seeing light in dark places, not by denying the dark, but by refusing to let it block your view. You can practice gratitude and still work for change. You can be thankful and still want more. Gratitude and ambition are not enemies. In fact, the more grateful you are for what you have, the more energy you have to build what's next. Practicing gratitude is also a form of self-respect. When you notice and appreciate what you've been through, how far you've come, and what you've survived, you build confidence. You stop needing approval from others because you're already seeing your own value. Gratitude helps you measure growth, not just in achievements, but in strength, wisdom, and character. That's where lasting self-worth begins. You don't need to wait until your life is perfect to feel grateful. Start where you are, with what you have. In the middle of your uncertainty, the practice of gratitude is not just for the days that feel good, it's for the days that feel heavy too. Especially then, because that's when you need the reminder that even now, even here, there's something to hold on to, something to honor, something to carry forward. By practicing gratitude consistently, you don't just improve your mood, you change the way your brain works. You interrupt negative patterns. You reinforce positive emotions. You create a mindset of strength, peace, and resilience that becomes your emotional foundation. This isn't magic, it's discipline. It's a habit, and it's available to you every day. Gratitude is not something you find, it's something you choose. Choose it often, choose it deliberately, and let it shape how you see the world. Chapter 12. Control your reactions instead of blaming others. Blaming others is easy because it shifts responsibility away from yourself. It provides a temporary escape from discomfort, guilt, or uncertainty. But every time you point the finger outward, you give away your power. You become a bystander in your own life instead of the one driving it forward. Real growth begins when you stop reacting impulsively and start owning your part. You cannot always control what happens around you, but you can always control how you respond. That choice, again and again, determines the quality of your relationships, your peace of mind, and your future. When something goes wrong, the mind immediately seeks a reason. Often that search becomes a hunt for someone to blame. It might be your parents, your partner, your boss, or even a stranger who crossed your path. But placing blame doesn't solve the problem. It delays resolution. It keeps you emotionally stuck and mentally distracted. Instead of focusing on what you can do, you stay tangled in what others did or didn't do. That mindset breeds frustration, resentment, and helplessness. And over time, it becomes a habit. The habit of blaming is deeply rooted in ego. It's the mind's way of protecting itself from the discomfort of being wrong, from the fear of imperfection, or from the sting of failure. But what ego shields, wisdom reveals. The moment you choose to look within instead of outward is the moment you reclaim the ability to grow. Self-control does not mean weakness. It means strength under discipline. It's the ability to pause, to breathe, and to respond with clarity rather than react out of emotion. Reactions come quickly. They are impulsive and usually emotionally charged. They are born from habit, from unresolved pain, from past experiences you haven't fully examined. If you've been hurt before, your reactions are likely shaped by that pain. If you've been disappointed often, you might respond with mistrust or anger. But awareness changes everything. When you become aware of your emotional triggers, you gain the power to interrupt them. You begin to respond from a place of choice, not compulsion. Learning to control your reactions begins with slowing down. It starts in the moment you feel tension rising. The moment someone says something that bothers you, or when life throws something unexpected your way. Instead of snapping, shutting down, or lashing out, you give yourself a pause. That pause is powerful. It allows you to ask, what am I really feeling right now? What story am I telling myself about this moment? What outcome do I want? And what response will help me move toward it? That level of reflection doesn't come naturally. It must be practiced. In difficult conversations, the instinct to defend yourself can be strong, especially when you feel attacked or misunderstood. But reacting defensively rarely creates resolution. It often escalates tension. Responding with curiosity, patience, or silence can be far more powerful. You can acknowledge someone's point of view without agreeing with it. You can stand firm without being aggressive. You can walk away without being disrespectful. Controlling your reactions does not mean suppressing your emotions. It means choosing a response that reflects your values rather than your temporary feelings. Blaming others also keeps you from seeing your patterns. If you always blame your partner for conflict, you miss the opportunity to reflect on your communication. If you always blame your job for your stress, you avoid examining how you manage boundaries. If you always blame time for your lack of progress, you never address your discipline. Accountability is not about guilt, it's about ownership. When you accept responsibility for your reactions, you become more powerful, not more burdened. Life is unpredictable. People will disappoint you, plans will fall apart, unexpected problems will arise. In those moments, your power lies in your response. Will you let the external chaos control your internal state, or will you respond with intention, with calm, with strength? That choice defines the difference between reacting blindly and living deliberately. Reacting without thought often causes regret. Responding with intention bids respect, both for yourself and from others. One of the most mature forms of emotional strength is not needing to have the last word, not needing to win every argument, not needing to prove someone else wrong. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is walk away, not in defeat but in peace, because your energy is too valuable to waste on things that don't move you forward. When you stop blaming, you start building. You build understanding, you build patience, you build resilience, and all of that adds strength to your character. No one else is responsible for how you feel, how you act, or how you grow. People can influence your environment, but your internal state is yours to manage. It's your responsibility to work through anger, not dump it on others. It's your job to heal your wounds so they don't keep leading onto your relationships. When you accept that truth, you move from victim to leader. You stop waiting for others to change and start doing the hard work of changing yourself. It takes discipline to sit with uncomfortable emotions without releasing them on someone else. It takes courage to admit you were wrong or overreacted. It takes strength to take responsibility for your tone, your words, your timing. But each time you do that, you grow, you gain more control over your inner world. You become less reactive and more grounded. And that steadiness becomes one of your greatest assets. There will always be people who act carelessly, speak harshly, or push your buttons. But how you respond to them is always within your control. You do not have to match their energy. You do not have to become them. You can choose dignity. You can choose maturity. You can choose silence when it's needed and direct words when they're useful. This is not passive. It is powerful. It is the practice of becoming the kind of person you respect. You are not your emotions. You are the one observing them, the one choosing what to do with them. The more you practice that awareness, the more space you create between stimulus and response. In that space is your freedom. Freedom from regret. Freedom from repeating old cycles. Freedom from being emotionally manipulated by others. That freedom is not given. It's built, and it starts with a simple decision. I will control my reactions. I will stop blaming others. I will lead myself with strength. Blame keeps you focused on the past. Ownership moves you toward the future. Blame points fingers. Ownership points forward. Blame creates conflict. Ownership creates solutions. When you shift from blame to responsibility, you become a force of clarity and calm in a world that often thrives on noise. That calmness is not weakness. It's strength earned through self-awareness and discipline. It's a reflection of someone who has decided to live on their own terms. The next time you feel triggered, slow down, breathe, observe. Ask yourself what reaction will align with who you want to be, not what your emotions want you to do. In that moment, you'll feel the pull of habit and the possibility of growth. Choose growth, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Every time you do, you train your mind to follow your principles, not your impulses. That training is how you become emotionally free. That freedom is how you begin to shape your life from the inside out. Chapter 13. Stay consistent even when motivation fades away. Consistency is what builds the bridge between where you are and where you want to go. It is the act of showing up for your goals, even when the feeling of excitement has faded, even when the road becomes dull, and even when no one is watching. Motivation is temporary, and it cannot be relied on to carry you through the tough, boring, or lonely moments. It can spark action, but it cannot sustain it. That is the role of discipline, structure, and commitment. When motivation disappears, what remains is your choice to keep going anyway, not because it's fun, but because it's necessary. There will be days when everything feels heavy, days when progress feels invisible, and effort feels wasted. These are the moments when most people stop. Not because the goal is unreachable, but because their actions depended too much on emotion. Consistency is the antidote to this pattern. It is the habit of returning to your work, your health, your priorities, regardless of how inspired you feel. You wake up, and you do what needs to be done. You stop negotiating with excuses. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You stop listening to the voice that tells you today doesn't matter. When you rely on motivation alone, your results will always be unstable. You will have good weeks and bad weeks, productive days followed by empty ones, promises made and broken. But when you commit to consistency, your progress becomes reliable. You take control of your habits. You create structure that supports your goals. You learn that success is not about one big burst of effort. It is about steady, repeated steps that build momentum over time. The strongest people are not always the most talented or the most excited. They are the most consistent. You will be tempted to stop. You will question whether it's worth it. You will doubt your abilities, your pace, and your path. But consistency is not about never doubting. It is about not letting doubt decide for you. You keep showing up. You keep putting in the work. You keep adjusting without quitting. Progress doesn't come in a straight line. Some days feel flat. Some days feel like setbacks. But the person who keeps going eventually surpasses the person who only moves when conditions are perfect. Consistency builds character. It teaches patience, humility, and endurance. It shows you what you're made of when things stop being exciting. It strengthens your ability to trust yourself. Every day you follow through on what you said you'd do. You build integrity. You send yourself a message that your word matters, even when no one is there to see it. That kind of self-trust is rare. It's quiet, but it's powerful. It makes you reliable. It makes you strong from the inside out. There will be routines that feel boring, tasks that feel repetitive, progress that feels invisible. These are the moments where consistency matters most. You show up for the process, not just the outcome. You stop chasing constant results and start focusing on who you are becoming. That shift in mindset turns ordinary days into meaningful steps forward. Not every day will bring a breakthrough, but every day of consistency will bring you closer. It helps to create systems that make consistency easier. Instead of relying on willpower, build habits that trigger action automatically. Set clear routines. Create specific time blocks for what matters most. Limit decisions and distractions. Track your progress, no matter how small. Structure removes friction. It helps you avoid the trap of waiting until you feel like it. If you design your day to support your goals, consistency becomes less about discipline and more about routine. Accountability can strengthen your commitment. Share your goals with someone you trust. Reflect on your progress regularly. Remind yourself often why you started. Visual cues Checklists and daily reviews are not small things. They keep you focused when emotions waver. They keep your attention on the process instead of temporary feelings. Every tool that helps you stay consistent is a tool worth using. Some days you will feel energized. Some days you will feel drained. The difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck is not how they feel, it's how they act despite how they feel. Consistency is about taking the next step even when you're tired, showing up for the workout even when you're unmotivated, writing the page even when inspiration is silent, staying committed even when results are not visible. You keep moving, even if it's slower than yesterday, because slow progress is still progress. It still counts. You must stop expecting to feel ready all the time. Readiness is not a requirement. Commitment is. If you wait for everything to feel right before you act, you'll wait forever. Life will always give you reasons to delay. Discomfort is not a signal to stop. It is proof that you're growing. Consistency requires the maturity to act even when it's hard, the resilience to start again when you fall off track, and the humility to keep going even when it's not glamorous. When you stay consistent, your identity begins to change. You stop seeing yourself as someone who only follows through when things are easy. You start seeing yourself as someone who is reliable, focused, and strong. That identity shift becomes fuel. It makes you proud of your discipline. It turns effort into a reflection of who you are, not just what you want. And that self-image will carry you through future challenges. It's not about being perfect. You will miss days, you will get distracted, you will fall short. But consistency is not about never falling, it's about getting back up without delay. The quicker you return to your routine, the less damage is done. One missed day is a break. 2 missed days is the start of a new habit. Protect your streak. Protect your structure. You worked hard to build it. Don't throw it away over one bad day. There is freedom in consistency. When you no longer depend on how you feel to do what's right, you gain a sense of stability. You reduce decision fatigue. You avoid guilt and regret. You build a rhythm that carries you forward, even when life gets heavy. That rhythm is your foundation. It keeps you grounded. It keeps you sharp. It keeps you moving when motivation is nowhere to be found. Eventually, you stop needing constant reminders. The habit becomes part of you. What was once difficult becomes normal. What was once a struggle becomes second nature, and that transformation only happens through repetition. You cannot think your way into success. You must act your way into it, daily, deliberately, repeatedly. There are no shortcuts, no hacks that replace the value of consistency. It's the least glamorous part of success, but it's the most important. The world is full of talented people who never finish, excited people who never follow through, and motivated people who never build anything lasting. What they lack is not skill, it's consistency. The difference between average and excellent is often just this: who kept going. No one will stay motivated forever, but anyone can stay consistent. That decision is always available. That action is always within your control, and every day you choose to act, regardless of how you feel, you become more disciplined, more capable, more unstoppable. Stay consistent, especially when you don't feel like it. That's when it matters the most. That's when the transformation happens. That's how you rise. Chapter 14. Reflect on your day before going to sleep. Each night before you fall asleep, you are given a powerful opportunity to check in with yourself in a way that few people take advantage of. The world grows quiet, distractions fade, and your mind finally has space to review the day you just lived. This moment of reflection is not a luxury, It's a practice that can sharpen your awareness, strengthen your discipline, and bring clarity to your journey. If you want to grow steadily, if you want to be more intentional with your time, and if you truly want to change how you live, the day must not end without a review. Reflecting on your day is not about overthinking or reliving your mistakes. It is about learning from experience, instead of letting it pass without meaning. Each day holds lessons, some obvious, some subtle. But if you never pause to examine what happened, how you behaved, what you felt and why you reacted the way you did, you lose the chance to improve. The point is not to judge yourself, but to understand yourself more deeply and take responsibility for your own development. Before going to sleep, ask yourself a few direct questions. What did I do well today? What did I avoid that I should have faced? How did I treat others? Was I patient or reactive? Did I live according to my values? These questions are not meant to shame you, but to remind you that your actions either align with the person you want to become, or they don't. The more honest you are, the faster you grow. The more consistent you are, the more control you gain over your choices. The benefit of reflection at night is that it sets the tone for your rest and your next day. If you go to sleep unaware, rushed, or filled with unresolved stress, you carry that tension into your sleep and into the following morning. But when you pause and reflect, you give your mind closure. You send a clear message to yourself that the day had structure, meaning, and personal involvement. You didn't just live the day, you learned from it. You noticed it. You were present for it. Reflection builds inner order. It sharpens self-awareness. It allows you to track patterns in your behavior, your thoughts, and your emotional responses. If you always feel anxious on certain days or irritable after certain interactions, reflection helps you see the triggers. Once you see them clearly, you can begin to change them. Without this awareness, you repeat the same patterns without even noticing. That awareness turns repeated mistakes into valuable lessons. You can reflect in silence or with a pen in hand. You can ask yourself a single question or write a full page. What matters is that you stay consistent. The goal is to create space to review how you lived, not to impress anyone or to perform, but to quietly hold yourself accountable. In this process, even small wins become visible. A difficult conversation you handled with maturity, a decision you made that you used to avoid, a habit you followed through on. These are the bricks that build confidence, and they often go unnoticed unless you slow down to see them. Nighttime reflection also helps you release the weight you don't need to carry. Some things didn't go well. Some words were poorly chosen. Some moments were wasted, but they don't need to stay with you all night. Acknowledge what happened. Accept responsibility, forgive yourself, and commit to doing better tomorrow. Holding on to regret without reflection leads to guilt, but reflection turns regret into resolve. It gives your mind a way to close the day with peace instead of tension. In a fast-moving world, most people rush into sleep the same way they rush through everything else, scrolling, distracting, numbing. But these habits prevent you from truly finishing your day. They leave you with open loops in your mind, unresolved thoughts, and no sense of closure. When you replace this with reflection, you regain mental clarity. You slow down, you connect with yourself. You put the day into perspective and allow your mind to rest. The days you reflect are the days you grow. It's not about doing more, it's about noticing more. Being aware of where your time went, recognizing what drained you, celebrating what energized you. These observations give you insight to design your future days with more intention. If you notice you wasted hours on distractions, you can make a change. If you realize you avoided something difficult, You can plan to face it. Without reflection, improvement is blind. With reflection, improvement becomes intentional. Some nights your reflection will bring pride. Some nights it will bring discomfort. Both are useful. One builds confidence, the other builds direction. But neither will help you if you ignore them. So make it a habit to sit with your day before you sleep. Not with judgment, but with presence. Not with noise, but with clarity. The more regularly you do this, the more in control of your life you will feel. You will no longer just react to your days, you will begin to direct them. This habit is simple but powerful. It requires nothing but a few minutes and the willingness to be honest with yourself. You will not always like what you see, but facing it is where the growth begins. You will not always feel like doing it, but the discipline of doing it anyway builds strength. Over time you will begin to look forward to this moment. Not because it's always easy, but because it keeps you anchored. It reminds you of what matters. It protects you from drifting into mindless patterns. You do not need to reflect perfectly. There is no script to follow. Just ask yourself what mattered, what you learned, and what you want to carry forward. You are not here to impress anyone. You are here to become someone you respect. That kind of growth happens quietly. It happens in small, steady acts of self-awareness that build over time. And one of the most powerful of those acts is simply reflecting on your day before going to sleep. This is where you begin to live with more presence. This is where you stop letting the days blur together. This is where your intention strengthens and your clarity grows. End your day with awareness, not escape. With truth, not avoidance. With reflection, not distraction. In doing so, you will slowly become more grounded, more focused, and more in charge of the life you're building. Not by chance, not by motivation, but by deliberate, consistent, thoughtful effort, day by day, night by night. Chapter 15. Stop comparing and start becoming your best self. Comparison is one of the quietest forms of self-sabotage. It steals your attention, poisons your peace, and blinds you to your own progress. The moment you start measuring your life by someone else's timeline, you begin to lose touch with your own purpose. You stop seeing your growth. You forget how far you've come. You begin to question your path, your speed, your worth, and it's never a fair comparison. You see their highlight reel and measure it against your behind the scenes. You see the results, not the process. You see their confidence, not their insecurity. You see the surface, not the struggle, and yet you let it affect your sense of identity. Becoming your best self is not about doing more than others. It's about doing better than you did yesterday. It's about becoming more focused, more disciplined, more self-aware. You were not born to be a copy. You were not meant to follow someone else's version of success. You were given your own life, your own mind, your own experiences for a reason. But when you constantly compare, you dilute your potential. You trade authenticity for imitation, and you disconnect from the power of self-respect. Comparison often grows in silence. You scroll through someone else's success, and without realizing it, you begin to feel less accomplished, less attractive, less capable, but you never question whether that story is complete. You assume they have it all together. You imagine their life is perfect, and then you begin to resent your own progress. You start to rush, to overthink, to chase things that don't even align with your values. And in doing so, you delay the very growth that would bring you real fulfillment. You must stop feeding your mind the illusion that someone else's path is better than your own. You must stop thinking that if you had what they had, you'd finally feel whole. Because if you can't find peace with who you are right now, no amount of achievement will satisfy you. The key is to look inward, To recognize that real fulfillment comes not from matching others, but from mastering yourself, from knowing your priorities, from living in alignment with your own truth. Becoming your best self means you shift your focus from competition to improvement. It means you stop asking, "Why am I not like them?" and start asking, "What can I do to become more of who I want to be?" That question gives you back your power. It redirects your attention to where it belongs, on your own thoughts, actions, and decisions. Every day offers you a new chance to get better. Not better than someone else, just better than who you were before. You grow when you learn to appreciate your own path, when you respect your timing, when you stop rushing and start building. Compassion leads to impatience. It makes you want shortcuts. It makes you feel like you're behind, but there's no such thing as behind when you're committed to your own growth. Everyone moves at a different pace. Everyone faces different battles, and if you truly knew what others carried in their minds and hearts, you'd stop wishing for their life. To break free from comparison, start by recognizing your triggers. Pay attention to what environments or habits make you feel inferior. Maybe it's certain people, certain apps, certain conversations. Don't pretend those things don't affect you. They do, and the more honest you are about their impact, the more intentional you can be in managing them. Protect your focus. Limit what distracts you. Reclaim your energy. That space is where your best self begins to form. It also helps to write down your wins. Track your progress. Celebrate small steps. Don't wait for someone else to notice. Don't depend on external applause. Learn to validate yourself. Learn to take pride in your discipline, your effort, your consistency. That's where real confidence comes from, not from being admired, but from being aligned. When you know you're doing your best with what you have, comparison loses its grip. There's nothing wrong with being inspired by others, but there's a big difference between inspiration and imitation. Use what you see as motivation, not as a weapon against yourself. Learn from others without losing yourself. Admire someone's progress, but stay rooted in your own values. You can appreciate their journey and still honor your own. That's maturity. That's clarity. That's strength. Your best self isn't found in perfection. It's built in daily practice. It's shaped by habits, by decisions, by honest self-reflection. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to stay committed. You need to keep showing up. You need to trust the process, even when it feels slow, because the version of you you're becoming is not created overnight. It is revealed through patience, through effort, through the quiet choice to keep going. Start paying attention to your inner dialogue. Notice the moments you doubt yourself because of what someone else is doing. Interrupt that thought. Replace it with truth. Remind yourself that your life is not a race, that your journey is unique, that your pace is not a problem. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to someone you care about, with encouragement, with respect, with belief. When you stop comparing, you free yourself to grow. You stop wasting time looking sideways and start moving forward. You stop chasing validation and start building value. You stop trying to impress and start trying to improve. That shift may seem small, but it changes everything. It brings you back to your core. It connects you with your purpose. It allows you to rise without needing anyone to watch. You will feel tempted at times to look around and measure your worth against someone else's results. But in those moments, ask yourself, am I doing what I said I would do? Am I showing up with discipline? Am I learning from my mistakes? Am I becoming stronger, clearer, more focused? Those are the only comparisons that matter, not to others, but to your past self. to your potential, to the version of you you're trying to become. Every time you focus inward, you get better. Every time you commit to growth, you move forward. Every time you stop comparing and start working, you become more grounded. It's not about becoming the best in the world. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. That's the only goal worth chasing, and that goal will require you to stay focused, to stay honest, and to stay committed to your own path, no matter how noisy the world around you becomes. Chapter 16. Learn from failure without turning bitter inside. Failure is not the end of growth. It's often the beginning of a deeper, wiser version of yourself, but only if you allow it to teach you without hardening your heart. Everyone fails at some point. Everyone has moments of disappointment, regret, or loss. What separates those who evolve from those who stay stuck is how they respond to that failure. You can either become bitter, defensive, and closed off, or you can become aware, open, and resilient. The choice is always yours. The pain of failure is real, but it does not need to become permanent suffering. What makes failure unbearable is not the failure itself, but the meaning we attach to it. When you tell yourself that failure defines you, that it proves you are not enough, that it means you should stop trying, that is when bitterness begins to grow. Bitterness is subtle at first. It begins with resentment. Then comes the self-blame or the blame directed at others. Over time, it turns into defensiveness, fear of trying again, and eventually a closed-off attitude toward opportunity and growth. To prevent this, you must learn to sit with failure and examine it carefully. Ask yourself what happened, what you missed, what you misjudged, and how you contributed to the outcome. But do it without self-hate. Responsibility is necessary, shame is not. You can hold yourself accountable without turning against yourself. That's where true strength is built. Learning from failure means allowing discomfort to teach you instead of scare you. You must stop trying to avoid every setback. Trying to live a life free of failure will only make you cautious, fearful, and disconnected from challenge. The truth is that you will make poor choices. You will trust the wrong people. You will overestimate your abilities. You will make plans that fall apart. And all of it is part of the human experience. The goal is not to be perfect. It is to become more aware and more equipped for the next time. If you fail and become bitter, the failure controls you. If you fail and become wiser, you reclaim your power. Bitterness is a sign that you have not yet accepted what happened. It is the refusal to process the loss with clarity and maturity. It is the emotional weight of unfinished inner work. Letting go of bitterness does not mean pretending the failure didn't hurt. It means refusing to carry that pain into every new chapter of your life. You acknowledge it, you feel it, but you do not let it turn you cold. Some failures feel unfair. Some come from outside forces that you could not control. But even then, there is always something to learn. Maybe it's how to protect your peace. Maybe it's how to choose more wisely. Maybe it's how to adjust your expectations or build more discipline. Every failure has a seed of wisdom. But that seed does not grow in a bitter mind. It needs space, attention, and reflection. If you rush past your failures without facing them, you will repeat them in different forms. To learn from failure, you must slow down and separate what happened from what you believe about yourself. You failed, but that does not mean you are a failure. You lost something, but that does not mean you are unworthy. You took a wrong turn, but that does not mean you are lost forever. This separation between the event and your identity is where healing begins. Without it, you'll carry a distorted self-image that prevents you from trying again. Many people get stuck in bitterness because they spend too much time replaying what went wrong instead of asking how to do better next time. They overthink, they replay conversations, they dwell on the past instead of focusing on new action. But healing from failure is not a passive process. It requires attention. It requires emotional honesty. It requires you to say, "This hurt, but I still have something to give. This didn't go as planned, but I am still capable of rising." The ability to try again without bitterness is one of the strongest forms of courage. It means you've processed the past without being owned by it. It means you felt the pain but didn't build a home inside it. It means you still believe in growth, even after being knocked down. That kind of courage doesn't come from pride. It comes from humility, from accepting that failure is part of life, from realizing that your worth does not increase or decrease based on outcomes, from knowing that you're not here to avoid failure, you're here to grow through it. Forgiveness plays a big part in releasing bitterness. Sometimes you need to forgive yourself for not knowing better. Sometimes you need to forgive others for not supporting you. Sometimes you need to forgive the situation for not turning out the way you imagined. Forgiveness is not agreement. It is not weakness. It is the decision to free yourself from emotional chains that no longer serve you. When you forgive, you make space for new insight. You make room for clarity. You create the emotional strength to learn without collapsing. You must give yourself permission to be both wounded and worthy, to be both disappointed and determined. The two can exist at the same time. You don't have to choose between feeling the pain and moving forward. In fact, feeling the pain is what allows you to move forward. Ignoring it only delays your growth. Pushing it away only deepens the bitterness. Facing it is what transforms it. You also need to change how you define failure. Most people define it as a result. But failure is not the end result. It's part of the process. You failed when you didn't try. You failed when you gave up. You failed when you avoided the lesson. But if you tried and fell and you reflected and adjusted, then you did not fail. You evolved. This shift in mindset helps you stop fearing failure. It helps you begin to use it, to embrace it, to respect it for what it is, a demanding but valuable teacher. You must also be careful who you listen to after failure. Some people will shame you, some will project their own fears onto you, some will see your failure as confirmation that success is impossible, but their words are not your truth. Be selective with the voices you allow into your recovery. Surround yourself with people who support growth, not perfection, who hold you accountable, not hostage, who believe in the long road, not just the shortcuts. In the end, the way you respond to failure says more about you than the failure itself. Do you take ownership, or do you blame? Do you reflect, or do you run? Do you rise, or do you retreat? Your answer shapes the next version of yourself, and with each response, you are either getting closer to who you want to be, or drifting further away. The goal is not to live without failure. The goal is to live without letting failure become your identity, to fall and rise again without bitterness, to grow through the pain instead of avoiding it, to become emotionally stronger, mentally clearer, and more grounded after every setback. Because life will test you. It will challenge your beliefs. It will confront your plans. But if you are willing to learn instead of harden, to reflect instead of resent, you will not just recover, you will rise better than before. A clear goal gives your energy a target. It narrows your attention and filters your decisions. It tells you what to say yes to and what to ignore. Without it, every distraction looks important. Every delay feels acceptable. Every excuse sounds valid. But once you write down a specific goal, your priorities shift. Your time becomes more valuable. Your effort becomes more focused. You're no longer just reacting to life. You're building something on purpose. Chapter 17. Set clear goals and review them every day. When your goals are vague, your progress will always feel uncertain. If you want to move forward with clarity, you need to define exactly what you are moving toward. Most people say they want success, peace, growth, or freedom, but they rarely take the time to write down what that actually looks like. Without definition, your ambition floats. It doesn't land. It doesn't stick. You stay busy but unfocused. You stay active but unaligned. To change that, you must take ownership of your direction by setting clear goals and reviewing them every day with focus and intention. Once your goals are clear, they must become visible. A goal that lives only in your mind will fade. Your mind is busy. It's filled with responsibilities, noise, and uncertainty. If your goals are not written down, they will not be protected. Write them out clearly. Keep them in front of you. Use a notebook, a digital reminder, or a simple card you carry in your pocket. Don't rely on memory. Rely on commitment. The act of reviewing your goals daily keeps them alive. It reminds you of what matters most. It keeps your focus sharp, even when life gets noisy. You don't need to spend hours every day planning. A few focused minutes can be enough. Read your goals. Ask yourself how your actions today will bring you closer to them. Track what moved you forward and what held you back. This is not about perfection, it's about awareness. Daily review turns intention into alignment. The first step is to be honest about what you truly want, not what others expect, not what sounds impressive, not what you think you should want to fit in, but what deeply matters to you. That kind of honesty takes courage, because real goals challenge your comfort. They require effort, structure, and daily discipline. But the more aligned your goals are with your values, the more power they give you. You wake up with direction. You end the day with purpose. When you review your goals daily, you also train your mind to see opportunities that align with them. Your brain starts to filter the world through a more intentional lens. You notice people, ideas, and chances that move you closer to your target. Without that daily reminder, it's easy to miss these opportunities. You get lost in the noise. You chase distractions. You settle for comfort instead of pushing for progress. Many people write down goals once at the beginning of the year and never look at them again. Then months pass and they wonder why nothing has changed. Goals are not magic. They don't work unless you do. They require consistent attention. If a goal is important enough to set, it is important enough to revisit. If it's worth dreaming about, it's worth working toward every single day. That's how discipline is built, not by occasional inspiration, but by daily alignment. Clarity also helps you say no more easily. When you don't know what you're aiming for, it's hard to set boundaries, but when your goals are clear, your boundaries strengthen. You protect your time, your energy, your attention. You stop spending hours on things that don't move you forward. You stop giving your best effort to tasks that mean nothing. You become intentional, not just busy. Goals without review become background noise. You might remember them occasionally, but you won't prioritize them. But when you look at them daily, they become part of your identity. You begin to see yourself not just as someone who wants change, but as someone who is actively building it. That shift is powerful. It changes how you talk to yourself. It changes how you respond to challenges. It gives your efforts meaning. There will be days when you feel tired, discouraged, or distracted. Those are the days when goal review matters most. Those are the days your mind needs reminding. Motivation will not always be there, but structure can be. Discipline can be. You don't need to feel excited every day. You just need to stay connected to your purpose. Reviewing your goals helps you remember why you started, even when your energy fades. Break your goals into smaller parts. Don't just write "get healthy" or "be successful." Be specific. What does health mean to you? How will you measure success? What daily actions align with those outcomes? The more precise you are, the more likely you are to act. Specific goals create specific behaviors. Vague goals create confusion and delay. You don't need 100 goals, you just need a few that truly matter and a system to keep them in front of you. There will be times when your goals evolve. That's natural. Life changes. Priorities shift. What mattered deeply a year ago may no longer feel aligned, but you can only notice these shifts if you stay in close contact with your goals. That's another reason daily review matters. It helps you update your vision. It helps you stay honest about what still drives you. It helps you avoid working hard on the wrong things for too long. You don't need a complicated system. Simplicity creates consistency. Start each day by reading your goals. Reflect on what you can do today to move forward. End each day by reviewing what you actually did. That's it. Just that simple practice creates momentum. It helps you course correct when you drift. It reminds you that every day counts, that every choice adds up, that the life you want is not found in giant leaps. It's built one clear, consistent step at a time. Some people avoid setting goals because they fear failure. They fear being disappointed. But avoiding goals is not protection, it's disconnection. Without goals, you drift. You settle. You become reactive instead of proactive. But when you define a goal, you reclaim your direction. You decide that your life matters enough to plan for it, that your effort is worth organizing, that your future is worth shaping. A clear goal is a promise to yourself. A daily review is proof that you intend to keep it. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to always get it right. You just need to stay engaged, stay honest, stay willing to adjust. Keep your vision in front of you. Keep your focus on what matters. The results will come not from wishing or waiting, but from clear action taken over time. Chapter 18. Remove distractions that waste your energy daily. When your goals become part of your daily mindset, you start to live differently. You make better decisions, you take smarter risks, you push through resistance with more ease, you become more intentional, more productive and more grounded. And that is how progress happens. Not in dramatic moments, but in steady effort, built on clarity, reviewed with discipline, and lived with purpose. Distractions are not always obvious. Some are disguised as obligations. Others appear as entertainment, comfort, or even productivity, but they all share the same effect. They steal your attention and drain your energy. Every time you shift focus towards something unimportant, you lose time that could have been used to grow. Every time you engage in something that doesn't serve your values, you reinforce habits that hold you back. Most people don't realize how much energy they lose each day, simply because they haven't taken the time to remove distractions that no longer belong in their lives. If you want to improve your life, you must take control of your attention. Your ability to focus determines your progress, and in a world full of noise, your focus becomes your greatest competitive edge. It allows you to go deep while others remain shallow. It allows you to finish what you start, while others are pulled in 1,000 directions. But this kind of focus doesn't happen by accident. It must be protected. You must learn to say no to things that pull you away from your values, your purpose, and your goals. Start by identifying the distractions that consume your mental space. These could be apps you open without thinking, conversations that go nowhere, or habits that numb your mind instead of restoring it. Write them down. Be specific. Don't just say phone or social media. List exactly what you do, when you do it, and how it makes you feel afterward. Awareness is the first step toward discipline. If you don't track what drains you, you'll never fully understand what you're giving away. To take back control, you must simplify your environment. Design your space in a way that encourages focus. Remove clutter. Turn off notifications that do not add value. Block out time for deep work and protect it fiercely. Use tools only if they serve your clarity. Your environment shapes your habits. If you surround yourself with distractions, you will act distracted. If you surround yourself with purpose, you will act with intention. There is a cost to distraction. Every time you check your phone while doing deep work, you reset your brain's focus. Every time you say yes to something out of guilt, you say no to something meaningful. Every time you let someone else's urgency become your priority, you lose a piece of your own momentum. The price is not always visible, but it adds up. Distraction creates delay. Delay creates frustration, and frustration weakens your motivation over time. Many people underestimate how much emotional energy is wasted on things they can't control. Gossip, news cycles, comparison, arguments, and passive scrolling, all of these create mental fatigue. They keep your mind busy but unfocused. They fill your day but not your life. And while you may feel stimulated, you are not fulfilled. Removing these distractions does not mean disconnecting from the world. It means choosing what truly deserves your energy. You must also learn to be okay with missing out. Not everything needs your attention. Not every event needs your presence. Not every conversation needs your voice. The fear of missing out is a distraction in itself. It convinces you that being everywhere is better than being effective. But effectiveness comes from depth, not speed. From doing fewer things with more attention. From choosing wisely, not widely. The less you chase, the more grounded you become. Another powerful way to reduce distraction is to create rituals. When your day has structure, your mind has fewer decisions to make. You waste less energy wondering what to do next. You know when to work, when to rest, when to reflect, and the more consistent your routine becomes, the more productive your focus becomes. You move with rhythm. You stay grounded in your priorities. Distractions lose their grip because your actions already have purpose. Also, take inventory of the people you engage with daily. Some lift your energy, others drain it. Some encourage your focus, others interrupt it. This doesn't mean you cut everyone off. It means you become more deliberate with how you spend your time. Boundaries are not selfish. They are necessary. If you constantly allow your schedule to be hijacked, your progress will always feel out of your hands. Make space for those who bring clarity, not confusion. Many distractions are fueled by emotion, boredom, anxiety, self-doubt. You must become aware of what you're trying to avoid when you seek distraction. What are you running from when you open your phone for the 5th time in an hour? What thoughts are you trying to silence when you scroll through endless content? What discomfort are you postponing when you busy yourself with things that don't matter? Until you face these questions, distraction will always return. Clarity is built through discomfort. Growth requires space, and that space must be cleared from the unnecessary. The more distractions you remove, the more energy you regain. The more you protect your focus, the more meaningful your work becomes. And the more consistent your attention becomes, the more confident you feel. Your progress becomes real. Your vision becomes achievable. You stop living reactively and begin living intentionally. Start small. Remove one distraction at a time. Choose one habit to replace with something better. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. Each choice creates momentum. Each step brings you closer to focus. Each day of clear intention separates you from the chaos that consumes most people. Your energy is not infinite. Where you spend it matters. This is how transformation begins, not with a massive change, but with small decisions made daily. You remove what weakens you. You build what strengthens you. You choose depth over noise. You replace habits that numb with habits that build. And in doing so, you reclaim the one thing you cannot afford to waste: your energy. The more you protect it, the more powerful you become. Your time is not a game. Your attention is not a toy. These are the tools you use to shape your life. Don't give them away so easily. Don't waste them on things that take without giving back. Discipline is not about restriction. It's about freedom. The freedom to build the life you actually want instead of the one distractions keep pushing you into. Remove what no longer fits. Cut what no longer serves. Create space for what matters most. Chapter 19. Be kind to others without expecting anything back.